At the end of August, riders will line up at the Galena Motocross Park for the ultimate prize, of course, bragging rights. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Lights Out. I'm Irene Marie van der Walt, and today we will be chatting with Tommy Gous, who is the training lead for the MX of African Nations, about this event that will be taking place near Windhoek at the end of next month. We also have a chat with Philip Poludniak, who is responsible for the University of Pretoria's Formula student teams, brake, upright and fire suppression system, before we have a look at a very short visit paid to South Africa by Alex Albon. Stay tuned, we'll be right back after this.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
Tommy Gous joining us in the Lights Out studio. He's one of the faces behind the MX of African Nations, which will be taking place soon, at the end of August, I believe, here in Windhoek. Tommy, how are you doing? How's the planning going?
Very stressful, but yeah, we're going to make it. We're going to run it like a professional show, like we Namibians always do, up to first class standards, and we're pushing through. We're going to rock it.
So Tommy, we were talking before the camera started rolling about how this is when all the petty problems start to come up. What's the pettiest problem that's planning?
Where do I even start? Yeah, where do I even start? Yeah, it's always the final small touches that add up, you know, making sure everything is in place. The riders, all the licensing and all that stuff, the numbers have to be special, everything has to be special, the officials are all there, or to FIM African standards and stuff. Making sure the spectator area is perfect, the safety is there, everything has to be in top form. It's, yeah, like I said, it's an international event and we've got international standards that we have to uphold.
And of course, making sure that your visitors don't take a page out of the rally book and go...
Yeah. No, definitely our main priority is safety and then obviously environmental impact as well.
Yeah.
We've got big stuff coming up and I think this is going to be one to remember.
Yeah. So tell us about, for this person watching now going, what's going on? What is the MX of African Nations?
MX of African Nations is basically African champs where the top riders from each country, participating country, send their fastest riders, which is currently maxed out to 5, so to take part in every class and try and gain as many points to take back the trophy that they're all fighting for.
What is this trophy?
It's basically just the MXA and number 1 place, overall countries, and then in each class we also have that, and then some can also win the individual class. We're all fighting for the one.
Yes. So we've spoken a little bit about safety now. We've spoken about spectator control, about your marshals, your clerk of the course, who's a very well-known face in Namibian motorsport. What else has gone into the planning of this event? How long, when did you start? Let's start there.
Basically since last year, same time, and we got the news that we're going to host it. So obviously then we started looking for sponsors, blah, 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 blah. And we made a selection committee, so it's not even, that's a whole big process. You've got a selection committee deciding who's even going to represent their country. Then looking for sponsors, then also we had track inspectors here to make sure the safety is up to standard, the track is up to standard, everything has to be up to standard. So yeah, and then it's a never-ending process. So over a year already organizing, changing the venue, changing the track. Track inspector again was here last race. Got some final changes we have to do again. We've got the bad news that the 50 cc's have to drive on a big track. So that was a big surprise as well. So we even offered them training on Sundays just for them to give them an advantage, and it's actually unreal to see how much they improved and stepped the game up.
Yeah. So that would be my next question then. What does it mean for a 50cc rider to now have to take on the big boy track?
Yeah, I can't put myself in their shoes. I think that must be really, really nerve-wracking. And then for obviously the growth and development of the sport, we had to do it as a team. We stepped our game up. We took them for training, get used to the big track. We even scraped the track in between just to make it an easier step for them. But if you can imagine a little 50cc, he's between 5 and 9 years old, driving over 40-meter tables with ruts that are 10, 20 centimeters deep and whoops and stuff. That must be nerve-wracking. But they got it under control. We got it under control. They're going to rock it.
Land of the brave. They're just going
That's how we're going to do. That's what they're going to step up. Start them at a young age.
Okay, so tell me, you are now saying, you know, countries are sending their top 5 riders. So it's really the creme de la creme of African MX.
This is elite.
Who are you most excited to see?
Oh, I'm actually very, very surprised to see what the standard's going to be, especially from South African side. They got top riders which even participated in the last MXGP which held South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe. They all got very, very good guys. We got from Senegal, Uganda, even Madagascar. We got quite cool little variety coming up. We're looking at about 160 riders showing up.
And how do you feel about that FIM vote of confidence in Namibia? You know, this is their flagship event. This is the big thing.
That's like, it's an honor. We did host this early 2000s. We had it was still called AMU there. So we did host it there, and obviously by then they saw us Namibians, we got high standards, and we do it a proper way or we don't do it at all. So obviously, and now we want to prove to them again that level hasn't disappeared, and we got a great country with a lot of support from everyone, so we're going to do it.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for the guys on that big boy track?
That we already discussed.
All classes, what's going to be their challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is just to keep calm. Like it's the top riders all over Africa. You have to start to relax. It's going to be long races. Track's going to get rough. We're not used to that number of riders on the track. So, and then especially from the organizing side as well, the officials have to be up to standard. It's a 2-day event, so a lot of work is going to go. And I think to run that smoothly, that's why we're prepping now already and making sure everything is up to standard.
And what has been your biggest challenge from the organizing side?
First of all, obviously financials, but like I said, the country stepped up, everyone stepped in. It's unreal like that. Time is always the issue. Everyone's got a day job, and the officials and organizers, they give up every little bit of their free time to make sure everything is up to standards, and then maybe steal a little bit from their work time. Then the track changes and making sure the facilities up to standard. We put in a lot of effort and time, and I think our track is world standard now.
Was it not before?
No, now next level. You must guys come have a look. Come have a look. You will all be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, and then on to you. You also started out as a rider. How do you think that helps you in planning something like this?
I think it's very good to have a rider's perspective, and also now I got pulled into the organizing and getting all the official licensing and stuff. It's actually very nice to have both sides, if you understand. You know, you're from the rider side and the official and the organizer side, and it makes it to carry it over to the communication to both sides makes it a lot easier. And then also asking people for favors and help and stuff. It's better when it comes from a rider side, I think. Communication is better when it comes from a rider also.
And what do you think, lastly, is going to make the MX of African Nations, the Namibian version, stand out from the others?
Definitely our pride, Our pride. We're all going to go there, give it us all here and now, and I can't just imagine standing there on the starting straight and like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this for my country in my hometown. I think, and I think every rider is going to feel that way, and it's going to rock, just that joy, and then national anthem playing with the parade and everyone wearing the same Namibian colors. It's going to be the best feeling ever. I think that is going to be the proudest moment of my day.
Okay, so best feeling ever, I think, for the riders and for the spectators.
Yeah, definitely.
So give us a quick wrap up for the person who's now been prickled by our conversation and might want to attend. Where, what, when, why, how?
So it's 29th and 30th of August. So gates open at 6, which is really early. We got 160 riders. And it's at Galina Motocross Park, which is about 25-30 k's north of Windhoek. There will be signage. And yeah, it's going to be basically 2-day event. So Saturday is going to be practice and 1 race. And on Sunday it's going to be 1 practice and 2 races. So, but it's going to be a whole day activity. So like I said, we're going to be there from 6 in the morning till at least 5 in the afternoon.
There you have it, Galina Motocross Park. If 6 o'clock is a little bit too early for you, don't worry. I think you can come have your coffee there at the track when you're ready for it.
And cold beers.
And cold beers. But don't drink and drive. No, not for the drivers. I'm watching you. So, Galina Motocross Park, 29 and 30 August, the MX of African Nations. Thank you so much for joining us, Tom.
No problem. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing everyone there.
From brakes to fire suppression and then finance, Philip Ludniak is the person to talk to when it comes to University of Pretoria's Formula student team. Philip, how are you doing?
Very well. Never had a bad day in my life. Not
in
yet,
your life?
at least.
I think this is, as far as my good days have gone, this is the best one
Fantastic.
so far. So tell me a little bit about your work in developing the brakes and the fire suppression system.
My work is mostly based on simulation design and actually simulating the braking system. I also look into the upright. So that is where the translation between your braking system, your wheels, to the actual chassis and whatnot, as well as drive chains. There's a lot of characteristics and different angles that you have to look at. So I'm making sure this thing stops and stops very fast and very quickly. So quite a lot of pressure on, that's for sure. And I know it's definitely a large struggle point when it comes to different Formula students around the world. So we're trying to get it right the first time.
So you have a big problem with brakes not lighting on fire.
I think everyone has that problem.
So tell me a little bit about what you're doing to keep the brakes cooler.
So basically part of my research is looking at different brake geometries. So the actual brake discs, you mainly get 3 kinds. You get drilled, so that's when they physically drill holes into the brake disc. You get slotted, where they try, it's almost on the face, there's curves on the face. And that looks at directionalizing air into the actual brake system. So main goal is heat dissipation. There's a lot of factors against us. Firstly, corners, because we have to brake the car. Another big one is actually the wheel itself. It actually blocks a lot of airflow trying to enter the brake disc. So another factor that we look at is ducting, where we actually try and force air through channeling and different, airflows and whatnot into the actual braking system to try and dissipate heat as quickly as possible.
So you've got to excuse me now, I'm not an engineer.
That's
but
fine, sorry.
On the floor of a lot of Formula One cars, there's those little ridges. Is that ducting?
Ducting, yeah. So it's almost fins. You literally have little fins, or you actually get tubes where air will come in, fresh air, mostly at the front of the car, and it'll come through and we will move it in the direction of the brake disc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about where your inspiration for these brakes is coming from right now.
Everywhere, I think, just seeing what has been done before. We also have to replicate what went wrong and why things went wrong, so we can personally understand it. Remember, this is our first time doing this, so we will make mistakes, and that's a good thing. That's a whole part of the process, and why we want to do Formula Students, so students can actually learn what goes wrong and why they go wrong, and what we can do to try and mitigate those problems.
What have you learned from working on Formula?
Far too much.
Can it fit in your brain with all the engineering?
It tries, but yeah, just the amount of research that has already been done into something as simple, one would think, as a braking system is just incredible. So trying to just emulate that and get to that level of research is definitely a struggle, but it's definitely a learning experience first.
Okay. Yeah. And fire suppression, how do brakes and fire suppression meet one another?
Not really, but we obviously, if the thing goes into flames, we want to try to stop that.
Yeah, that would not be great. I don't know if you know, not ideal for you.
Not ideal at all. So especially PR-wise.
Yeah. Your marketing guy.
No, he's going to have a field day.
And finance is also.
Finance, yeah. We've got to try and keep this thing going. So, I think that's more of a safety aspect, something I feel very passionate about is fire safety. My dad's actually a fire engineer, so that's my inspiration from him being translated into Formula students. So there's obviously rules and regulations about fire. It's obviously very important, but we're trying to just one-up it and actually have an internal fire suppression system. If something goes wrong, the driver can pull a lever and the whole engine bay will be absolutely suppressed with foam.
So now I just really want to be at a Luniac Christmas. Between the fire
It's
engineer
very
and the mechanical
boring.
engineer.
It's very boring.
I think I would have a field day with you guys, honestly. Best boring day of my life.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
so on the finance end, you guys have a cost cap.
Yes, this is where we are differentiating ourselves. It's by far the most important aspect of Formula Student in South Africa. It's trying to introduce a cost cap. If you look at Formula One now, there is a cost cap involved, and there's a reason for that. If you look at teams overseas, they have budgets of absolute millions, and
Budgets for days.
you can do whatever you want. You can look at whatever materials, but it's not viable and it's not sustainable. So to ensure the sustainability of Formula Student, especially in Africa, we've definitely restricted ourselves. Our restriction is 200,000 Rand. That's our initial estimate. Right now, doing cost analysis, when everyone sends through exactly what they need and how much it costs, we're sitting at about 160,000 Rand. So we have a buffer. Obviously, there's many costs that don't get considered. So yeah, it's definitely a fine line, and I think it just pushes us to think outside of the box.
Yeah, like you say, thinking outside the box, you guys obviously have had to make some compromises. You can't just plonk down the newest Mercedes and call it Formula Student.
Carbon fiber this, carbon fiber that.
Exactly.
No chance.
What compromises have you had to make on this car for finance?
I think the biggest one would be the chassis itself. Normally, racing teams, especially in this kind of category, would look at a material called chromoly. It's a much stronger, and you can go a lot thinner, which means a lot lighter. I think we did a cost estimate on the chassis, and it came out to about 40,000 Rand if we went that route. We've obviously had to reduce that. In turn, it increases the weight. So this thing is a mass problem, and trying to reduce the mass means we can brake earlier, we can turn quicker, we can accelerate faster. There's a lot less against us. So yeah, there's definitely things like that. We've looked more into 3D printing and the capabilities that new technologies like that can give to such a project. And obviously the costs involved with 3D printing are far less than if you look at some composites and carbon fibers and whatnot. I think another one is fiberglass, that we've gone the fiberglass route, purely because of the sheer cost of carbon fiber fabric and layering that up. So it's a give and take, but I think people get really creative on how we can actually get around that and produce something competitive.
So tell me a little bit about, obviously you're developing this car now, you've got this mass issue, you've got the cost issue, you've got the brakes not catching on
Many
fire.
issues.
But you seem to be a Formula One guy in how we've chatted before the camera started rolling.
Who isn't?
Right, on Lights Out.
Exactly.
But have you gained any insight into what it might be like in Formula One and working in Formula Student?
Definitely. I think, the biggest thing we learn now and sort of get exposed to is actually working in a team. And the dynamics and relationships and conflicts that you have to navigate is definitely a learning curve and a bit of a shock. Engineering over the years is normally a one-man show. At times you have group projects, but nothing at scale. So I think we giving the opportunity for students, not only our year, but the next generation, exposure to such an environment. And I think they'll just bloom as soon as they come into industry and actually have to work with people they don't like, which is important.
I love how directly you looked at me. Is there a beef between us? We've only known each other for 10 minutes. So last question, you're a Formula One guy. We're all Formula One guys here at Lights Out. Which Formula One team are you looking at the moment?
There can only be one, and that's the red one. Controversial,
We
and
were
it's
just talking to your marketing guy about how bad your rear wing is.
yes. Well, I beg to differ. I think that shows their creativity, thinking outside of the box. Something we're trying to.
Yes, very
to follow
creative
in their
idea, just a
footsteps.
little bit too slow, you know. But,
We'll get there. We'll
but
get there.
you need to get to there. You need to get to Faenza and fix that rear
That's
wing.
the plan. That's
I'll
why
see you
we're
there.
here.
I'll see you there. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for
Thank
joining
you
us
so
on
much.
Lights Up. Atlassian Williams Formula One driver Alex Albon recently paid a short visit to South Africa, but not so short that we didn't unearth some very interesting information about him. He also met a few faces that might be familiar to you, starting off with South Africa's Minister of Sport, Gayton McKenzie.
Yeah, this is Gayton. Gayton McKenzie. I feel like I know already. How are you? Please follow.
Thank you.
Can't allow you guys to.
From meeting Gayton McKenzie to meeting the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa himself, Alex and his girlfriend both got to meet Cyril Ramaphosa, who is also a member of South Africa's Formula One committee.
Very well. Yes. It's been my dream to become a Formula One driver. Good to meet you. Yeah. Hello, how are you?
Very good.
Very well, very well. Has he taught you to drive?
Unfortunately,
Are you a golfer? Are you a golfer?
yes.
Wow. I've been trying to teach him golf.
After that, we also unearthed a very interesting detail about Alex's relationship with Ramaphosa.
It's a really weird story, and I won't lie to you. I found this out this morning because I was messaging my mum and dad because I knew that my dad did a lot of business in South Africa, and he spent a lot of time in Johannesburg actually. I'll tell you later, it gets even weirder actually. So, when I was 6 months old, my family moved to Johannesburg, and obviously I came with them. We lived here for a year and a half, and I lived in Hyde Park.
Hyde Park. Yes, you know that place.
I lived there on and off for like a year and a half, and my sister was also was coming, and so my mum moved backwards and forwards from the UK, and she moved back to the UK when she was being born. We just met the president today, and my mum saw it in the news on social media, and she told me that he was our neighbour in he was like,
Secrets. You'll know the secrets now.
She said, oh yeah, we were in house 9, he was in house 10, and he was our neighbour that whole time. So it's just a crazy story. But yeah, so my dad lived here for about 5 years. And
So, please.
Albon's visit to Johannesburg comes as the closing bookend of a month-long tour of an FW48 liveried show car that toured Cape Town, Durban and Johannesburg in South Africa. Alex, fun fact, is also the first active Williams driver to be in South Africa after Alain Prost's 1993 Kyalami win. The team in a statement said that this is part of their initiative to bring Formula One off the track to fans with various visits across the globe. They also said that this was part of a sponsor initiative, as this included a Q&A with the Supergroup CEO, a VIP experience with competition winners, so during the show run people could enter for a competition to meet Alex, and a content capture with South African content creators, as well as one-on-one media interviews with local and global broadcasters. On the moment, as Albin said in obviously the team statement, South Africa lived up to the hype. The fans were as passionate as it gets, meeting everyone who followed the FW48 roadshow, chatting with local creators and sitting down with Neil made this a brilliant trip. He also shared a few kind words on his Instagram. On his Instagram, he said 10 hours in South Africa, just enough time to see how beautiful this country and their people are. Thank you for the lovely welcome. And that is Alex Albin's very short visit to South Africa. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Lights Out. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember that you can catch Lights Out every Friday at 5:30 on Network Television, DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 only in Namibia, as well as oneup2.com should you prefer it online. So until next week when we see you back here, same time, same place, from myself, Irene Marie van der Walt, and the Lights Out team, drive it like you stole it.